Now you first explained in high school in 1988, 89. You won your first competition. Give me a little more history on when you won the other competitions.
Well, my first serious competition was in Rockville, Illinois. I took first place in that competition. I felt pretty good. I felt, you know, my first real good competition. I got cocky a little bit, and I was like, okay, well, I can beat anybody. And I went to my next competition. I did the Ohio State Championships. I won that first place. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to go to New York.
Wow.
And I'm going to go compete with them, and I'm going to beat those guys. First person that I went up against that I can remember was Kai Green, and that's when he was going pro. And I didn't know who he was at first. I mean, not a lot of people knew him. He was just sitting in the back room. He was sitting there chilling, talking, real nice guy, conversating with us and everything. He was like, man, this is my first competition, man. I hope I do good, stuff like that. We're like, yeah, man, you do good. We're trying to keep him up, keep him positive, and everything like that. And so we're pumping up. We're going to the back room. We're getting ready, getting prepared. It's like 5 minutes before we get on stage. And he's just sitting there. And everybody's wondering, like, okay, what's this guy doing? He's supposed to be getting ready, And his coach, kind of whispers in his ear a little bit, and he gets up, takes his clothes off. I mean, his legs were humongous. I mean, he was in the best shape I've ever seen anybody in. And I looked at it, I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm not going to be placing. And I thought I was in my best shape. I was actually physically my best shape ever that I thought it was. And everybody else was like, oh my gosh, and this guy, the posing routine was perfect. I think he got a perfect score off of everything. He went pro. He beat everybody. He took the overall, took all, heavyweight division. And ever since then, I said, well, I'm going to push myself twice as hard to beat somebody like that. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
And that was probably my most memorable moment, was actually being on stage with Kai Green.
Gotcha.
Before he turned pro.
Gotcha.
So
now, are you considered a heavyweight or a light? I mean, what's the different levels?
They have different levels. They have a lightweight, middle. Some competition event you go into, you have a welterweight, middleweight, light heavy. They have heavyweight and they have a super heavyweight.
Okay.
I go either way. I can go to either heavyweight or super heavyweight, which is about 198.5 is the cutoff point for heavyweight. I'm considered a heavyweight, but right now I'm about 240, somewhere in that area. I want to be about 280 when I get started competing.
280?
Yeah.
Have you ever been 280 before? You never been 280.
Been 286 before. 286.
Was I around you then?
No, you weren't around.
I'm finna say I never seen.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was at my largest at 286. Yeah.
Do you feel comfortable being 286?
Hated it. I couldn't even tie my shoe. I just had to hold my breath in order to tie my shoe. So that was pretty bad. So,
wow.
But I like the strength levels. I mean, when you're 286, you're going to be real strong. You're going to be, good strength, good power, stuff like that. It's just that when you're walking upstairs, it's not fun at all.
So do you feel more comfortable being 286 as far as winning, or going pro? I mean, what's the goal in being 286?
I want to be at least 280s when I go pro, at least in that area. Because there's some big guys over there. There's guys that are 250, 275, 320, 315. So I have to be in that range, 275 range, so at least to compete with the guys of that caliber. So.
Gotcha. Yeah. One of the big questions I want to ask you, because I'm a big fan of yours, and I know you're a clean guy, but a lot of stereotype goes with guys in that field taking steroids. Have you ever taken steroids? Or do you know of any competitors who have?
Well, I've never taken them, but I know people who have taken them before, and I mean they get stronger quicker than everybody else. Of course, they get larger size, more definition, things like that. I don't recommend it, but when you go to a pro ranked level, you have no choice but to, because 90–80% of the people are on steroids anyway.
Wow.
So if not 100%.
How did it make you feel knowing that you doing everything right, but then this guy next to you who might win the competition is taking steroids?
It's frustrating, but you know what? You have to have a positive attitude when you're competing. You say you can only do so much. If you're doing it 110%, when you're in the gym, your eating habits, your water intake, everything, your training, and you get on stage, I mean, you should, the satisfaction of you saying, I'm in my best shape, you know, and this guy that you might know that's on steroids, you know, okay, well, he's a lot bigger than I am, a lot more cut than I am. You can still take it in stride. You know, you're going to have to, because most of the time, the guys that have the steroids are usually going to win.
Okay.
That's just the way it is.
Now, using steroids in any other sport is illegal. Why is that legal?
Actually, it's not legal.
Wow.
In bodybuilding, it's not. You have to find. They have different protocols in order to find out. The same way with football, basketball. You know, taking a urinalysis, you're taking a hair samples, things like that. It depends on their testing. So, I mean, some people get caught, some people don't.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it just depends on how well you're at taking it. So, how good you are at cheating, in a sense, you know. So, yeah.
Did you being from Chicago, and there's not very many people in your profession, I mean that I know of. Do you feel different being a bodybuilder when there's a city full of basketball players and football players, or?
No, not really, because I mean, when it comes down to it, all athletes, we all have a specific goal. We have a specific thing that we want to do as far as getting ourselves to a certain level, as far as athleticism, whether it's jumping higher, going through somebody, running somebody over football, bodybuilding, wrestling, whatever the case may be. All of those things are geared toward athleticism, keeping your body at a certain tempo, at a certain rate, at a certain strength. You know, everything comes into play with it. You know, health is the big thing, and that's what I think athleticism is about. Just being as healthy as possible, keeping yourself as healthy as possible, and helping somebody out to get them to that point too.
Gotcha. Now, you know, you're a man of many talents. You know, bodybuilding, personal trainer. You know, you're also helping Angel Manfredi in his boxing training. Are you still involved in them kind of activities, or what's going on now with you?
I still train with a lot of the fighters, especially at 1 in a Million Boxing. Pro fighters that are there, also jiu-jitsu artists, especially the layman's person, just the normal people that come in and just want to get in better shape. I still stay with the pros. I still stay with them, train them, eating habits, water intake, things, and how they're supposed to get themselves a little bit faster, a little bit more acceleration with their punches and things like that too. So I stay with that. I definitely, and I'm going to stay with it for as long as I possibly can.
All right.
So.
What kind of advice can you give to future bodybuilders who may be in high school coming up, or just period, that who may see your video? But what kind of advice can you give to them?
A lot of the bodybuilders that I talk to that are young kids, the first thing they tell me, I say, hey, you know, what can I do in order to get bigger? Just the basic. You have to do the basic things. You have to go through proper technique, proper weight management, proper eating management, proper water intake, consistency as far as your training. Not training too hard, not overtraining, not undertraining either. So you have to have somebody that's going to show you how to do that. I mean, get yourself a trainer. Get yourself somebody that's an expert in their field. Give them something, especially a nutritionist. You need a massage therapist. You also need a personal trainer to get you to the point where you want to get to. In order to do that, you have to be open-minded with it too. You can't just say, well, I know everything. I've read this book, and I can do it myself. Nobody can push themselves like another person can push you, especially a personal trainer, especially if he knows what he's doing. He or she knows what he or she's doing.
Gotcha.
So, I think that most people that want to compete, whether it's bodybuilding, being a basketball player, football player, they have to have a specific mindset. They got to have it in their heart to do it. If they really want to do it, they'll do whatever it takes, legally, whatever it takes, in order to get to their goal. And you should have no problems with it. You have the heart for it, you got the mind to do it.
Gotcha. Lawrence, I want to thank you for being on the website, man. You personally a dear friend of mine, also a big role model for me. No lie, I'm going to college, and I tell people about you all the time. I say, I got somebody right now, he got 100 abs, 6-pack in his stomach, and unbelievable body, man. So I'm proud of you, and I wish you all the luck.
I appreciate you, brother. Have a good one, man.
This is Athletes Lives Network. Once an athlete, always an athlete.